inspiring slope was from the Gita. Such a beautiful, beautiful series. Okay, and just quickly the memory link words. Always helpful to get ourselves established. So we're proceeding, we don't have to, we're not dredging our memory. So we're going to go and stop and wash and leave and then drink and then stop. You got it now. Everybody's got it answered. Okay. Now we'll just do our Shravanam Kirtanam. Here we go. Want to recite this holy scripture?
One who recites this holy
And
scripture.
don't forget your flute hand. Now we've got this new way of remembering how to use your. Remember, if this will help you think of Krishna, go for it. Okay, use your right hand. Straighten up your little pinky finger. Yeah, and then as you slide along, your mind has a better chance of staying on the topic than on the ceiling.
Like a flute.
And using your Krishna's flute too. Okay. All right. So, achieves the abode of Vishnu.
Achieves the abode of Vishnu,
Which is always free from the mundane qualities.
which is always free from the mundane qualities,
Based on fear.
based on
And
fear
lamentation.
and lamentation.
And that's about it, folks. That's all you get in the material world. That's it. One who is regularly engaged
One who is regularly
in
engaged
the study of the Bhagavad Gita
in the study of Bhagavad Gita
and in the practice of pranayama
and in the practice of pranayama
is never affected by the reactions
is never affected by the
of
reactions
his past misdeeds.
of his past misdeeds.
And the next one is to wash. Okay. By daily taking a bath in water,
By daily taking a bath in water,
one may cleanse himself from impurities.
one may cleanse himself from impurities,
But if one takes a bath even once,
but if one takes a bath even once,
in the sacred water of Bhagavad Gita,
in the sacred water of Bhagavad Gita,
for him the dirt of material life
for him the dirt of your life
is altogether vanquished.
is altogether vanquished.
So that's a nice proposition after we've heard what happens before with fear and lamentation. Text 4. There's a certain way now to get the Gita, to read the Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is meant for careful recitation,
The Bhagavad Gita is meant for careful recitation,
and then there is no need for any other scripture.
and then there is no need for any other scripture,
Because it is directly emanated
because it has directly emanated
from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord.
from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord.
Actually, when you think about it, it's inconceivable. God Himself, whom we cannot see directly, except of course in the form of literary incarnations, the deity, but these words He spoke. Impressive. Everything you really need to know is in there. Okay, now never. By drinking the Ganges water of the Gita,
By drinking the Ganges water of the Gita,
divine quintessence of the Mahabharata,
the divine quintessence of the Mahabharata,
emanating from Lord Vishnu's lotus mouth,
emanating from Lord Vishnu's lotus mouth,
one will never again take birth
one will never again take birth
in the material world.
in the material world.
It's a nice proposition. Text 6. Now the nectar part 2. It's not just dry philosophy. All the Upanishads are compared to a cow,
All the Upanishads are compared to a cow,
and the milkman is Sri Krishna,
and the milkman is Sri
the
Krishna,
son of Nanda.
the son of Nanda.
Arjuna is the cow.
Arjuna is the cow.
The great nectar of the Bhagavad Gita is the milk.
The
Great
great
nectar of the Bhagavad Gita is the milk.
And the fortunate devotees of fine theistic intellect
And the fortunate devotees of fine theistic intellect
are the enjoyers of that milk.
are the enjoyers of that milk.
So does anybody remember what kind of literary devices we have in this sloka? Remember we talked about literary devices the last time? Are these similes or metaphors?
Metaphor.
Metaphors. Very good.
That-
Yes. When we're doing our presentation, we're going to have to share a lot of literary devices so people can see how poetic the scriptures are and the people who write them, the literary incarnations. Okay? Last one is how we reciprocate for all these blessings, right? There need be only one scripture.
There can be only one scripture.
Shri Krishna's divine Gita.
Gita.
Only one Lord.
Only one Lord.
That same Krishna.
That same
The
Krishna,
son of
Son of Devaki,
Only one mantra.
only one mantra,
Chanting of his holy names.
chanting of his holy names,
And only one duty.
and only one duty,
Devotional service.
devotional service,
And to that supreme Lord.
unto that supreme Lord,
Shri Krishna.
Shri Krishna.
Right, so that's how we say thank you. Thinking is thanking. Being thoughtful is being thankful. Okay, so are we ready now? Since we're not sure we'll have a class next Friday, depends on how prepared we all are and how much we have to, worry about. We're trying to get all the technical things done by the mercy of Brother and her sister, so all the materials are ready. But as far as orchestrating the personalities that are going to help, that may take a little practice time for me. So I would like, though, to go to class still on Friday. Let's see. Okay. And Monday, if we're missing that, would be 2 plus the next Monday. So that's a big chunk out of our regulated. I'm pretty regulated, as you know. But we won't have a class on Monday. Holy. And what we might do is perhaps earlier in the week have a joint class of the 2. Maybe we'll do that. Like on how does everybody like that idea? That maybe like on a Wednesday we have a little bit of Isha and we have a little bit of Gita, just so we don't get completely out of sync.
Wednesday.
Well, I'm not sure. Let's just see.
Instead of Monday,
Yeah, instead of Monday, then we have Wednesday. And then we try to slip in both books a little bit. Because Ishopanishad is really beautiful, and then we can keep on track a little bit with the Gita. So somehow we've accommodated that. We've tried to accommodate everything. So if everybody thinks, but let's not say what I'm suggesting now is to be absolute. I'll be inviting people to see how it works. Festivals and holy. I think it's a practical solution.
Yes.
Because 2 Mondays is very,
Right.
very much.
And we'll see too if this room is available, because during the festivals, a lot of personalities are here who might want to take advantage. So we'll see. Okay, so today, we'll quickly begin by taking up a little 1881 and referencing ourselves again in this section of devotional, middle 6 chapters on Krishna. Right, and the last time. Very quickly, last time we revised the size and title of the 6. So we know this section, we'll do that in just a few minutes. Okay, remember we used the time of the day to help people remember. And of course, all of these 6 chapters are focusing now on bhakti. First 6 are on karma, last 6 are on jnana. These 6 chapters are on bhakti. And of course, bhakti means Bhagavan, bhakta, and bhakti. Those 3 things. So now Krishna has prepared us after the yoga ladder to hear about him. So in all of these chapters, it's some reference to the Lord. So the first one, remember the title was what? Knowledge of the Absolute. This chapter we're doing today is a very auspicious one. This is what we want. Attaining the Supreme. Yes, this is what we are aspiring for. And then number 9, the center of the whole book is the most confidential knowledge. Right, that's tucked in the middle. The sacred little place for the jewel is locked in. This is protected in the center of the Gita. It's center of the Mahabharata also. And then the 10th one, now we're going to hear about the opulences. Right? How to remember Krishna. Because this is very important. When you have awareness of his opulences, you won't take him as an ordinary human being, as often can happen. Oh, who's he? Right? And then in 11, we hear about his, what? His universal form. Right, his universal form. That's the way he appears in the material world for those who have not really developed a relationship with him. And then in 12, the final result of all of this is, anybody remember chapter 12? Yes. Devotional
service.
Right, devotional service. Okay, so we'll go over those with the time, right? Oops. I had allowed this battery to run me out too much. I think it's too much. Today's the 14th, yes. All right. So the first one was knowledge of the absolute, right? So I'm remember what the code was I put for that. So again, I think it would just put KN of the absolute. And remember we set times in the day?
7:30.
Yeah, it's 7:30. Right? At 7:30 we've seen the deities, and we're now seeing the Guru Puja. Right? 7:30. Knowledge of the absolute. That's the size of that last chapter we went through last time. Then chapter 8, which is the amazing one today, attaining the supreme. So beautiful, so auspicious. This one is, we'll say A, attaining the
Supreme.
And this one, the time for this one was
8:28.
28. Right.
This is nice.
2 minutes before the doors open again. The doors are closed, the speaker's speaking, and then he stops and says, Jai Jai Shri Shri Gauri Jai Jai Shri Shri Gauri. 8:28. Everybody's waiting to see them again. They've been having their morning brunch. Okay, so it was 7 what?
30.
7:30 and
8:28.
Now, the next chapter is the most, we're going to put M, C, and A, most confidential knowledge. And what time is that one? Does anybody remember?
9:34.
9:34, right. And we said this, Radha Kapria very amusingly pointed out, that's the most confidential knowledge, that's when everybody's taking prashadam. They're all eating. 9:34. Okay, they're taking prashadam. And if they finish their prashadam, they may go back into the temple when the crowds have thinned out, and they may stare at the deities a little while. Doors are still open now. Okay? Most confidential knowledge. So 7 what?
7:30.
8 what?
8:28.
9 what?
9:34.
Okay, yeah, chapter 10, opulence of the absolute. Opulence of the absolute. And this is at 10:42.
10:42.
Now you've gone back, you've eaten, and you still have food rounds left, and you're going to go back down and check out the decorations on the deities.
Yes.
What colors do they use, what jewelry do they use, so you can be really meditating on the opulence of the absolute. These deities are very opulent. No? You don't find them dressing quite like this ever. For a job, and the opulence, especially with flowers. You may at the temples, you may see fancy dresses and jewelry, but the amount of flowers that they get, I think it would be hard to match for a job. That's the real opulence. The flowers are the opulence. 10:42, so everybody's meditating on how beautiful Radha Shamla. Then, the next one is the universal. Yes. And that is at what time?
11:55.
11:55. Yeah, it's 5 more minutes before the doors close again. They have to have lunch. So you're there at 11:55, and there's 5 more minutes, the doors close. And so an hour everybody has to wait while they have their lunch. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Everybody's got their phones. Downstairs in the Gita class, okay, you have to bring the sweets.
Actually, we'll make
Is it
4
VIP?
kgs of sweet.
4 kgs of sweets, what?
All of them. One person's wife is good for the whole class.
Whoa.
4 kgs of
Well,
sweet.
we'll just make
I
it
know,
more
I
like
did
this
that once in VIFG already.
Krishna's mother wanted
Acha, Mataji, they told you are in Mayapur.
I was.
You are.
I just returned
Okay. When did you come back?
a few days back.
Okay, so now Anita's going to bring us some 4
Yes,
kgs of
please.
sweets.
Pleasure, without the board drinking.
Mayapur Prashad.
Okay, so that was 11:55, and then the next one is
12:20.
devotional service, and what time is that?
12:20.
Devotional service is spent your morning in the temple, you're going for 64 rounds that day, right? So you can stand for those deities till you're done. 12, 20. A what? So 7 what?
30.
And 8 what?
28.
And 9 what?
34.
And 10 what?
42.
And 11 what?
55.
12 what?
20.
Okay. It always helps to
It's easy to remember.
Yes, this is our mental yoga. We have to get headed to new material. All right? So now we're ready for chapter 8, which is called what? What's the title of chapter 8?
Then supreme.
Attaining the supreme. Okay, very good. And we take out our study guide. And you've got your little 1881. Turn to that page. That's easy for starting out. Because this is actually nothing more than a visual index. That's all it is. It's nothing revolutionary. We've just put in a simple form, which looks like signs on a freeway, the numbers and the codes. So we find that this chapter, as the last chapter, has 6 topics. And remember in chapter 7 it was so easy. We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was not quite that easy. And the last one was number 1. Remembering Krishna, right? And number 2, there were 2 kinds of energies. Some of you were here. And number 3 was what?
Modes.
The 3 modes. And number 4 was what? And number 5 was sort of a trick. Yeah, right, misplaced because it was from 20 to 25, right? And then the last was 26 to 30. And that was the bewilderment. And then ultimately freedom, right? Through knowledge, you get freedom. And there is a saying in the West, the truth will set you free. Only they don't understand what the truth is. But they at least get the idea that the truth is liberating. So this chapter also has 6 topics. Even though these chapters aren't so long, they have a lot of breakdowns. Okay, so how many topics are in chapter 8?
6 topics.
Good. Everybody listening? 6 in chapter 8. Okay.
Yes.
So you see the little wheels there? You're
Yes.
looking at your yellow book there, yellow page.
Yeah.
Got the yellow page out. You see 6 wheels. Okay? And these sections are a bit small. None of them is very big. None of them is very big. So let's put 6 dots. And let's pick a keyword. I don't haven't researched the chart I did for the 1881, but as to which of the keywords I put. But I think the first keyword for the first dot, we'll just do that, is remembering. No, I think this one's questions. Questions. And number 2 was remembering. And number 3 is Yoga Mishra. And then the 4th one is purity. Purity, and 5 is comparing. And 6 was supremacy, I believe.
Supremacy.
Right, supremacy. Okay? So let's go through those key retention words again. The first one is questions.
Questions.
And then the next one is
Remembering.
And then the next one is Yoga Mishra.
Yoga
So let's
Mishra.
just do those 3 again. Questions.
Questions.
Remembering. And then Yoga
Yoga
Mishra. Okay. Then the next 3 are purity. Right?
Purity.
Purity, is that the one? Purity? Okay. And then the next one is
Compare.
comparing. And the last one is supremacy.
Supremacy.
So the first one was purity. Purity.
Purity.
Purity. Comparing.
Comparing.
And supremacy.
Supremacy.
Okay, let's do all 6 again. So you just backwards, forwards, till when you go to sleep tonight, you say, what did she do? I can't think of anything else. Okay. So your first one was what?
Questions.
And the next one was what?
Remembering.
Right. Remembering. And then the next one was what?
Yoga
Yoga Mishra.
Yoga Mishra.
Right?
Pure.
And then the next one is pure.
Pure.
Pure. And then the next one was?
Comparing.
And then the last one was supremacy. Supremacy. Right. Okay, let's go backwards. What's number 6?
Supremacy.
Supremacy. And what's next?
Pure.
Comparing.
And what's number 4?
Pure.
Purity. And what's number 3?
Yoga Mishra.
And what's number 2? And
Remembering.
what's number 1?
Questions. Questions.
Questions, okay. Now down one more time. Number 1 is what?
Questions.
Question. And number 2 is?
Remember.
And number 3 is?
Yoga
And
Vishwabhakti.
number 4 is?
Purity.
And number 5 is?
Comparing.
Comparing. And number 6 is?
Supremacy.
Okay, turn to your neighbor and very quickly tell them the 6 chapter breakdowns of chapter 8. No, I didn't hear
Question.
Well, I know about kind, I mean, I try.
The first one is question.
I've also done the ones in my here. You've been done
First
this.
is Yoga Mishra. Third, fourth one is comparing. Purity, then comparing. And then
Through the holy.
question.
Anybody who's here is definitely, I'm sure, getting a special mercy of Lord Chaitanya right now. Everybody agrees it's important to start with the general topics, isn't it? It helps a lot. The verses start to sound all alike after a while, you know, if you don't have the breakdown, you don't know. I don't know, I fall into that category.
Purity, comparing,
Supremacy.
Okay, everybody got the 6 topics down?
Yes.
Ready for chapter 8? This is what we pray to do. And we're going to find out what the conditions are for that, because it's really not easy at the time of death to think of anything besides, actually it's hard to think from what they've described. I mean, the descriptions are that the temperature of the body goes up to 110, like that. And that because actually your subtle body is connected points, you know, all over your body, it's been explained that when it pulls out, it's comparable to those 40,000 scorpion bites.
Madhavan, devotee sense.
I mean, I haven't been through it yet to tell you.
No, Prabhupada is
If I do, I don't want to come back and say, yeah, we're right. It was 39,999. They gave me a break because I chanted a little bit.
Prabhupada is always doing 40,000 scorpion, but generally
Yeah, right.
he told.
And they say one scorpion bite's enough to finish off a child this size, you know? Your back snaps and it's, whoa, one bit of poison goes over there, so 40,000. And I think it's because the body's pulling out, you know, just ripping out and all the connection. It's sort of like taking a big old tree and then just pulling it out of the ground. So, doesn't sound like a wonderful experience ahead for all of us here, you know, get you all frightened enough to take spiritual life seriously. But anyway, that's the challenge, because we all have to face it. We've been doing it for how many lifetimes? A number of lifetimes. And this time is our chance, human form of life, is your chance to stop the changing body cycle. Otherwise you have to keep changing bodies. And that means birth and death. And it means suffering in between. Suffering at the beginning, suffering, and in the between, suffering. So there's no escaping that. So that's the situation we're all in. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we know there's a way out. Right? And this chapter is going to emphasize how, and the importance of how, and also that it's not that easy. So we can't take it cheaply. Okay? So we have now, everybody's got it, the first the topics?
Yes.
The chapter title, and it's 28. So now we're grounded, we're ready for something deeper. So the next thing to do is the size. Where? What? Okay, let's go back to our study. So we know that. So the first one, I think it's 1 to 4, right? 4 slokas are about questions. And interestingly enough, it's chapter 8, and there are how many questions? 8.
8 questions.
Yay, very good. And these questions are a carryover from the last sloka of chapter 7. Krishna gives many big terms in Sanskrit. Atma, Brahman, Adidaiva, Yagya. So chapter 8 starts, well, it makes sense. Arjuna wants a definition for clarity. So he's asking, what do these mean? And then he adds his 8th question, which is what applies to everybody here. And how can one know you at the time of death? This is a very relevant chapter. For all of them are relevant, but this is especially important. So he's asking those questions. Okay? 1 to 4. I think Krishna answers 5 of them. No, I'm sorry. In the first verse he answers 5. In the next verse he answers 3. And then when he gets into section 5, he's answering the 5th. So he answers them in installments. He's really giving you a synonym for these words. But in the last one, he's going from 5 to 9 is the how, not just the synonym. How? Then you can remember. Okay, so 1 to 4 are the questions.
1 to 4.
7 of them are answered here. Okay? From 5 to 9, 5 minutes till 9 o'clock. 5 to 9, we get the description of how to try to remember him at the time of death. And he gives you some pointers too on how you should try to remember him. And Prabhupada in the purport also gives warnings as to how difficult this is. We shouldn't take it cheaply. Because we don't really know what we're headed in for. Nobody knows what his karma has in store. What kind of circumstances we're going to be in. You know, we're going to be alone, we're going to be surrounded by people, we're going to be children. You have no idea. So this is why you have to be prepared throughout life. And Prabhupada stresses that. If you really read his purports, you know, those sort of entry line preaching things you'll hear for newcomers to the movement. There's more to it than that. You know, you've got to attract people. You don't scare them right away. But you find the more you become convinced and the more mature you become in handling truth, you're really ready to hear for the fine points. So when you start reading the purports, it's like a legal document, right? You're seeing, oh, these are the conditions. It's much more than I suspected. You know, just chanting and dancing and taking prashadam. It's a nice advertisement, but there's a little more to it than that. Does everybody agree?
Yes.
The longer you're in it, you know. I know, I met one little girl a year ago from China, Hannah Kaylee. She was fresh off the thing. Oh, Krishna consciousness is so wonderful. It's ecstatic. Oh, it's the most wonderful thing. She came back last year, she said, oh God, preach to me, Maji, it's tough. It's true. There's the initial grace period, but the longer you're around, boy, Krishna really starts putting the clamps on, you know? See how serious you are. He's not cheap, right? Is it true? Everybody? Whoa, you know, that introductory, just like buy the new car, buy the new flat.
Yeah.
And then when you move in, you know the water's leaking. The gas is leaking. The car broke down on the freeway. They sold you a used car instead of a new one. It's always what's behind the curtain, you know. So that's it, you know, fine point. That's why it's really important to read the purports. You know, we're doing the overviews. This is like the advertisement before you get those purports. So 1 to 4.
What is the question?
So 5 to questions, and 5 to 9 is?
Remembering.
Remembering, okay. You want to remember that. Remember 5 to 9. So what's your next number, everybody?
10.
10. And 10 goes up to what?
13.
10 to 13. Okay, at 13 minutes past 10, we're going to think about Yoga Mishra Bhakti. This is what the yogis have to do. Actually, I can often wonder when I read about the yogic processes why they're attracted to it. I mean, it's difficult from beginning to end. You know, they have to, what time of the day and this and that and what, oh, well, Bhakti is so sweet. And, but the yogis, they go through so much austerity and see a fish mating, or they hear a tinkling bell of Apsara, that's it. So 10 to 13, we're going to hear about the yogic process. But that's not the one that Krishna's recommending. Because in the next section, he's going to recommend what?
Purity.
Yes, the purity of what? Of devotional service. 14 to
14
16.
to 16.
16. I'm running out of room on my little slate. 1 to 4. Yes, question.
It's question.
5 to 9 is
Remembering.
10 to 13 is
Yoga Mishra.
and 14 to 16 is
Purity.
Yeah, the purity of it. It's on all levels. The comparison is hard to beat. Krishna helps, it's natural, it's easy, you're guaranteed success, you get the results of performing all the other kinds of processes, including intuitive activity, mental speculation, yogic processes. You just do devotional service. And there's no real hitch about tinkling bells and mating fish. Because you're fixed on the goal. These other things are pretty insignificant. Okay? So, the next number after 16 is what?
17.
17. I'm going to move my slate up a little bit, put these numbers up a little higher. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So 1 to 4, and 5 to 9, and 10 to 13,
13.
and 14,
16.
16, and 17, 22,
22.
and the last one's, I'm running out of room. It's going to be 20
23.
to 28. Okay? That's not going to be 23 to 28. So now we see how, these are really short little sections, but they're important. Okay? That section is on the supremacy.
Supremacy.
Devotional service. So Krishna's really putting a good, so to say, advertising pitch in this chapter for bhakti, as opposed to yoga processes, yoga processes. Okay? 1, 4, 5, 9,
9, 10, 13, 14, 16, 17, 22, 23, 28.
That's the end. All right? Do a refresh on your slate first. All right, erase it. Try not to look at your handbook sitting back. And do your refresh. Put your 6 dots. And see if you can remember the numbers again. Don't look at your neighbor. Try to do it on your own.
Yes. Yes.
And then just sort of close your eyes and see if, of course, you don't have a bright slate like this. Someday if I'm really rich, you all will. I really, if I inherit $20 million, everybody's going to have an iPad. Because it's really, the impression is deep. And these little slates, they're sort of funny. They get sort of looking old and gray pretty fast. But at least it's something to scribble on. Okay, so you got that now. So make a quick mental picture, your little samskara. How to think about this next time you scrub a floor or cut some vegetables. It's a good way to meditate. Just don't do your work. Think about slokas or Krishna. Actually, this is worshiping Krishna by your intelligence. He says that. This is not just gymnastics for the brain. This is a form of puja, what we're doing now. So don't feel as though you're missing out on anything by trying to study directly worshiping Krishna. And your life becomes auspicious. Okay, now erase that and turn to your partner and see how well you can relate this. First, you've learned it. Now you're going to try to see how easily fluid you relate. 5, 9.
After this, if you could remember, I'll tell you what I was. Please do it that way. Because it's the absolute.
How's the Gopi doing, okay?
Question.
Seems especially attentive today.
Just 1, 2, 3. First is questions, 1, 2, 4. Second is first was questions, second was what? Thinking.
How's the old man doing? Has he got it down? He knows about that. I heard him over the phone. I saw him.
I didn't want to go back to it, so I just pushed it.
It was incredible. What was going on back there? I didn't say anything. Oh, the glories of childhood. Screaming.
I pushed it, picked him up, and I put him in the bath. What happened? You went, I didn't come
Anyway, whatever it was, I don't know.
It's quiet.
Sound intense.
That's it, 34.
Special mercy for parents. Huh?
Yeah.
I think, I'm afraid my battery is, I allowed this.
17.
Shut it off.
And then
There.
that was supremacy. And that is 23.
So, how are you all? Now, you're very fluent, right? You can walk into a class and say 1 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 13. Right, first one is questions. Remembering.
Yoga
Mishra.
Yoga.
Theory. And supremacy. Oh, good. What are your time slots? Okay. Let's take a peek at the study guide. See what those wonderful summaries say. See what the experts do. Because now you're grounded. You've got a nice structure set in. You've got your infrastructure. Now you can fill in some details. Let's see what's ahead. Are you going to have a study guide handy? I personally cannot imagine being able to teach without a study guide, unless you're so expert that you can create your own as you go. Some people are good enough, but you really need guidance. Why do we have acharyas and commentaries, right? You're just reading something, especially if it's your first time. If you're experiencing something, you can definitely pick out points and topics and subdivisions. But without the mercy of these study guides, I don't know how people go down with this. Okay, here we go. So guess what? Now your study guide, you're going to be familiar with all this, right? You see chapter 8, how big is it? 28. All right, and Krishna answers some questions, and look what it says, 1 to 4. You know that. Remembering Krishna, what does it say?
Which page?
Oh, sorry, page 47.
47.
47. And now now this is familiar to you.
Yeah, Yoga Mishra
So
Bhakti.
easy now.
10,
Right?
14.
Now you're become veterans. We passed the first grade now, we're ready for second grade. And then we have pure devotional service, 14 through 16. I guess we were right. And look what it says, comparing the material and spiritual world, 17 to 1.
22.
22, the supremacy of devotion in attaining the supreme. Where's that?
23,
28.
28.
Okay, so now that you've made so much advancement, we're going to give you some more chance to advance. Are you ready? You're going to go to a higher level of knowledge. So first of all, we read as a group, as you know, and we use our flute hand. And you have to stay on top of following. You slide your flute hand finger around. And whenever Pranaji stops, you say the next word. There's an advantage in that. It keeps everybody from falling asleep. And reading brings only 10% retention. So it helps you overcome that big defect. to tell you, when I was teaching the Gurukula one year, I had a group of fourth graders, and it was quite a range of kids. You know, some of them were just speed readers. Some of them had come from schools where they actually couldn't read at all. And they were all in the same bunch, too. And it was the year of Prabhupada's, it was the centennial. Yes, 96, I think, something like the centennial. So I got the little book called Prabhupada, right? And I bought everyone a copy. And for 1 hour a day, for 1 month, we sat in a circle like this. I didn't have the flute idea then. But we went around the group, and if the child was expert, he was allowed to read a paragraph. If the child was really struggling, so the other ones don't feel bored, he was allowed to read a sentence. Okay. And that way it was a motivation because the kids they wanted to start to be able to read a paragraph. And if they were super speed readers, they could read the page. But the condition was that we went around the room, and whenever the last person stopped, if the next person didn't know where he was, we skipped it. And for little kids, that was really a shameful thing. Oh! I wasn't together. And do you know what? In 1 month, they were all speed readers. In 1 month. Kids that were really struggling at the beginning. And it was just coming from an hour a day of this little, and we read the book Prabhupada. That was our offering to Prabhupada. So, what we're doing actually is quite beneficial. And we'll see, you guys can become speed readers now. Okay. So remember, be alert. Arjuna inquires about the
6 stars.
Krishna used at the end of chapter
7.
Brahman, Adhyatma,
Karma, Karma,
Adibhuta. So here we have 7 terms at chapter what? 7. Right, at the end of chapter 7. Let's say those words. Brahman, Adhyatma, Karma, Adibhuta, Adidaiva, and Adivyakyam. So in the 8th chapter, Arjuna throws in one more, which is death. I don't remember. Now here's the topic you all have memorized. Krishna answers Arjuna's what?
Questions.
Where?
1 to 4.
Good, good experience. In this chapter, Krishna answers
Arjuna's
questions and discusses yoga
Principles.
and pure devotional
Service.
In verses 1 to 4, Krishna
Answers.
Arjuna's first
7 questions.
Very good. You got it now? Now you're really moving. You really got the picture. Is this easy?
Yes.
Study guys, make it so simple. Remembering Krishna, where?
5 to 9.
5 to 9. You guys been studying or something? I thought I had a beginner's group here. In verses 5 to 8, Krishna answers his
8th
question
question.
about the
Destination.
one who thinks of Krishna at the time of death.
Yes.
Krishna explains that one must
Always think of Him.
especially by
Chanting the holy name.
along with
Performing
active
devotional service.
Such practice helps one
Remember
Krishna
Krishna.
at the time of
Death.
and attain to his
Nature.
Krishna explains some ways to
Meditate
on
on
him in
Him.
verse
9.
9, sorry.
I want to read 9.
Yeah.
So you want to go
Yes.
and take
Now you guys are really getting advanced. We have to be careful here. They're going to book you for the next class. Don't let Parvati come here. You'll be stuck. Right? She come here sometime and you're all going to be lined up. Yoga Mishra Bhakti, where's that one?
10,
10 to
13.
13.
Okay. A yogi can also attain
Krishna.
by uttering
Om.
and thinking of Krishna at
Death.
Yoga Mishra Bhakti is described in verses
10 to 13.
Hey, you know that much. And what does the yogi do?
Always remember Krishna.
Oh.
For remembering.
Yeah. Oh.
Thank you.
Pure devotional service, and where's that?
14, 16.
Krishna urges Arjuna to engage in
Pure devotional service.
remembering him without
Deviation.
there is no
Impediment.
in such service, and one
Easily
attains
Krishna.
Krishna. Okay, so he's giving him this is the sales pitch. Right? Option. Next, comparing the material and spiritual worlds. Where's that?
17, 22.
The material world is
Miserable.
and
Temporary.
is illustrated by the constant
Cycle of
universal
creation
and
destruction.
by hearing this,
Description.
one gains
Detachment
from the
world.
Yeah, when you hear about what it's like, oh, what am I doing here? In verses 20 to 22, the eternal
Nature.
of the spiritual
World.
is described, as well as the
Means
to attain
it.
devotional
Service.
Krishna.
Okay, they're giving you another breakdown there from 20 to 22 description. So you're finding out something that's really terrible, but luckily also being described as the alternative, which is really wonderful. Because it's not enough to know, oh, this is terrible. What do I do then? And we have to have a better option, right? Like, which car do you want? An ambassador? Or do you want, what's another car brand? You guys see any of Mercedes. The supremacy of devotion in attaining the supreme. Now, where are we going to find that?
23, 28.
Yeah. In verses 20, well, here's another sub-breakdown. In verses 23 to 26, the Lord describes
Different ways.
of leaving this
World.
for the
Karmis.
and
Yanis.
but Krishna's devotees need not
Worry.
about these
Paths.
because simply by engaging in devotional
Service.
they attain the
Beneficial results.
goal,
Paths.
and at the end,
Reach
the supreme
destination.
Verses 27 to
28.
By hearing the middle
Six.
of the Bhagavad Gita in the
Association.
devotees, one gets the
Benefits.
performing all
Sacrifices.
penance, etc. And one
Progress.
from
Anatati
to what?
Pure Krishna.
Wow.
Actually, the purport to chapter 28, Prabhupada is brilliant. He tells you, by reading through the Gita, how you go from Shraddha to Prema. So don't ever think the Gita is just ABCs. It's a very beautiful purport. Very beautiful. And look at the end. Sanjay's hair is standing on end. It's not because it's too cold or too hot or whatever. You know, he just touched the electric outlet. He's feeling ecstasy. Are you guys in ecstasy today?
Yes.
You getting a little bit of that? Anybody's
Not
hair
like
standing on end? We haven't seen anybody go like Einstein yet, right?
No.
Okay. So now you've got to the second level, right? For filling in the blanks. Shall we try the verses now?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Ready? Okay. This is fun. You can keep your chart. What was that, 47? That way you can keep referencing, because now you're moving to what we call level 3, higher level, page 47. Keep it handy. Although you've committed it to memory, you're doing really well. Everybody knows it.
Only one word.
Still, in case your memory slips, you can quickly refer to the summaries, because you know the topic, you know the title, you know the topics, you know the section, you know the summaries. Now we go for the nectar. Okay? So open your enlarged sloka book to page 82. Starts with 8 for chapter 8. You always think of memory like no matter what you do. Get in the habit of doing that. It's called analogous thinking. I find some way to help myself remember. Always, if I see 8 and I see, oh, 82, I see something to help me anchor. And it gets to be a game after a while. Your brain is
It works
entertained.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, the brain is having fun studying. Otherwise, it will say, oh, page 82? Make a game out of it. Now, we're going to get an example here, as we have in our study guide, of summary sentences. Oh, you don't have a book? You can all share? You got it up? A summary sentence is a skill. It takes the main points and packs them into one bag. You know, when you're traveling, you don't take your whole wardrobe with you, do you? You take a little suitcase, and you take the essentials. Your toothbrush, a couple of saris, some soap, scrubby, tea log, job bag. Right, you get it down to the bare minimum. You don't go walking around, because the plane won't let you take your whole closet. No. You're only allowed 50 kgs, so you have to take a little bag, and then have your friends send the stuff later. Okay, don't laugh. Narayani's in that pickle. She's in Bombay right now. She's been calling me up the last 2 days. I'm overweight. And she says, I've got 5 people bringing all the stuff I need. Somebody showed up at my door today with her ghee.
Or the sugar.
Her ghee, her medicine. Okay. So here we have a little suitcase for the flight. All the essential points are here. Right? The whole chapter's not here, but enough to get you.
Yeah.
Okay. So let us read in our usual style here. By remembering Lord
Krishna.
in
Devotion.
throughout
One's life.
and especially at the time of
Death.
one can
Attain.
to his supreme
Abode.
beyond the material
World.
Okay, so let's put a point for each one. By doing what? Remembering
Remembering
Lord Krishna. How?
devotion.
Yeah, let's do the who, what, when, where, why, and how. So the first thing is the what. By remembering who?
Lord Krishna.
How?
In devotion.
Devotion. When?
Throughout
Throughout
one's
one's
life.
Ah, this works, I tell you. See, we're doing this at the retreat. If you ask these 6 questions when you're reading, you'll be shocked, especially summaries, in how easy it is to understand it. When is when? Throughout one's life. And especially when?
At the
At the
time
time
of
of
death.
death. So now we're getting it even fine-tuned. Now what is the result? One
One
can
can
attain
attain
the
supreme
supreme where?
Beyond
Beyond the material world. Is this amazing? So if you want to write a summary sentence, just keep on a little, I should make a little bookmark for this retreat. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Put it in your book. I should do that.
Yeah. I was just thinking of writing out here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to ask the guys at, because we've got all these handmade paper things going to the kids. They do bookmarks. I should ask him, you know, your magic words for reading. Who, what, when, where. Keep it in your book. I think if I have time, we'll see if we can at least photocopy some stuff. And then when you've got that in front of you and you just keep referencing, you'll be shocked how easy it is to remember. So got the summary tips now? Who, what, when, where, why, and how. How do you have to remember Krishna devotion? When? Throughout your life, especially at death.
Time of death.
Where would you go?
To
Right, beyond the
his
supreme.
supreme.
Okay, now, for the first 4 verses, I'm giving you keywords. For verse number 1, inquire, because it's questions, right? Number 2, death. 3, he's starting to answer. This is Brahman. I put the first one. This is answering. He's answering 4 out of the 7. Here. Or perhaps, yeah, he is 4 out of 7. And then in 4, I picked the first word, which was adibhuta. And I put 2 words. Adiyana. I guess I think I circled Adiyana here. Because this is Krishna in the heart. Adiyana. He is the Lord of sacrifice. Everything we do It really goes to him. Even if people think they're worshiping the devas, ultimately it goes to Krishna. He's Yogi Purush. Okay, so let's get those key words again. Inquire. Right? Arjuna did what?
Inquire.
And number 2 is what?
Death.
Death. Yeah. And number 3 was?
Answering.
I picked, oh, actually I picked karma. I circled that, karma. Because that's why we're here. I always try to pick things that are really relevant to our problem. And number 4, I picked adiyagya. Okay. So now I want you all to be listening, following with your fingers. I'm going to read the slokas, and then you recite when I stop. Arjuna, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is
Brahman.
What is the
Self.
What are
Duty activities.
What is this?
Material manifestation.
And what are the
Causes.
Please explain this to me.
Mm.
And now that's up to the next one. He has 2 more questions. Who is the Lord of
Sacrifice.
How does he live in the
Body.
Oh,
Madhusudana.
and how? You see, look at how. Look at who, what, how. And how can those engaged in
Devotional service.
know you at the time of
Of
death? Right. Look at all those questions being answered. We're going to do those bookmarks. That's going to really be helpful. Okay. So now you know death and inquiry for number 1, death 2. Number 3, the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Six.
the indestructible, transcendental, living entity is called
Brahman.
and his eternal nature is called the self. Action pertaining to the
Development.
of the material
Bodies.
of the living entities is called
Karma.
Now that should be enough to shock you. That sentence, when I read that, that really scared me. That means whatever actions we're performing that are fruitive,
Adds another.
it makes another life. Anything. Is that not serious?
Scary.
Oh, I want to go to Delhi and buy a new dress. It's serious. Actions pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living is called what?
Karma.
Karma.
That's why we're here, folks. This is a package of that. This is a package of parts. Or fruitive action. That means I wanted the result, and you got it. If you want to get the result, you'll get it. It's not a very nice idea. The whole world's running after more karma, so they're chasing it. Give me more karma. Give me more material. They don't know. They're chasing a dangerous thing. O best of the embodied beings, the physical,
Nature.
which is constantly
Changing.
is called
Adibhuta.
the material, the
Manifestation.
universal form of the Lord, which includes all the
Demigods.
like those of the
Sun
and
and
it's called Adi.
Adideva.
And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the
Super
in
soul.
the heart of every embodied
Being.
is called
Adiyagya.
the Lord of
Sacrifice.
Okay. Ready? Take your slates out. I'll read a sloka. Don't look at your book. And you tell me, is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Got your slates? This is your quiz.
Sorry, what was for number 2? Your
Number 2 is death.
death.
Yeah, you listen to these words now. You should be able to tell now where we are. We run you through these slogans, remember? It's only 4 at a time. These we don't have a big sector. It says 17 to 22. Okay, just write either 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, or 4.4. And remember, 7 questions are answered in these first 4 verses, except number 8. You already learned all that. So you only got, your choices are 1 to 4. You can't go
Yes.
too wrong.
Yeah.
Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudan? And how can those in devotional service know you at the time of death? Where's that? Yay. 8.2. Nice and big. Look at how, hold that up, Gopi. This kid's got assurance. She writes big. That's a tiny little thing down here. She's getting confidence in this class. When she first came here, I could see it was a shock. Now she's used to it, huh? That's so terrifying. Anything is getting used to. Okay, everybody listening?
Yeah.
Ready to write? The Supreme Personality of God, it said. The indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman. In its eternal nature, it's called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entity is called
Karma.
Whoa, 8-3. Boy, this group is intelligent. I don't know. Shameless for me to stand up. Arjuna inquired, "Oh my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruit of activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me." What's that one?
8.1.
8.1. Oh, it's 1. Yeah. Because this is Arjuna's asking questions. Well, we've only got one left. If you missed this one,
That's so
we can't pass you with the BIG, sorry. Well, best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing. Everybody notice that? It's constantly changing. Is called Adibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and the moon, is called Adidaiva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, is called Adi.
Yeah.
Lord of
Sacrifice.
Where did we find that? You guys are going to read through this chapter like lightning now. Okay, Brahman, the self, karma. I didn't know it all. Anybody learning anything today?
Yes.
Okay, good. It was worth your coming through the holy bodies. We have to make sure people are satisfied. When you go to a restaurant, you know, or at the end, they say, "Did you like the meal?" Okay, now we're going to remember Krishna. 8-5 through what?
9.
You have to leave at this time? Oh no! No, I'm teasing you. This is the critical stuff here, folks. You gotta remember. She'll remember Krishna. She's got all of her family rooting for her. Okay. Response. And whoever at the end of his
Life.
quits his body,
Remembering
me, and at once attains mine.
nature.
This there is no
Doubt.
The word is remembering. 8.5. 8.6. These are key verses, folks. Whatever
State.
Is everybody asleep? Whatever. What?
State.
State of being one remembers when he quits his
Body.
O son of
Kuti.
That state he will attain without
Fail.
And you don't want to fail. You want to think of something else, like strawberry shortcake or MBT pizza. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always
Think.
of me in the form of
Krishna.
And at the same time, here's the fine point, carry out your
Success, beauty.
Tiny. Yeah, somebody can say, okay, I'm just going to forget the work. I'm going to go into my room, close the door, and just think of Krishna. He doesn't recommend that. You won't be able to. You think of MBT pizza. With your activities dedicated
To me.
and your mind and intelligence fixed on
Me.
you will attain
Me.
without
Doubt.
doubt. Keyword was think.
Think.
Number 6, it was state, whatever state of being. Keyword in 5 was remembering, state, think. Now, he who,
Meditate.
this is the key word, meditates. Yes. On me is the Supreme Personality of
Godhead.
His mind
Constantly
engaged in
Remembering.
undeviated from the
Path.
He, O
Partha,
Partha, is sure
sure
to
to
reach
me.
Okay, meditate. So now we're getting the message. Think, meditate, remember, state. Got the key words?
Yes.
8, 5, remembering. 8, 6, sing. 8, 7, think. 8, 8, meditate. Now let's get to 9. Now he's going to tell you how great he is. He's worth it. You know, we sit and listen to descriptions of materialistic people who are completely covered by the modes and how great they are. Why don't we really hear about someone who deserves the title? One should meditate upon the Supreme
Person.
as the one who knows
Everything.
Now that's something. If you know everything, as he who is the
Oldest.
Yeah, you gotta respect your elders. He who is what?
Controller.
Who is smaller than the
Smallest.
How can he do both of those things? Who is the maintainer of
Of everything.
Who is beyond all material
Conception.
Who is
Inconceivable.
Who is always a
Person.
Oh, he's a person on top of all this. He is
Luminous.
like the
Like
sun. There's a simile. And he is
Transcendental.
beyond this material.
Nature.
Oh, sounds like he's worth thinking about, isn't he? And guess what? When you think about him, you become like that. Whatever you think about, you take on those qualities. If you think about a cat, you become a cat. If you think about a dog, you become a dog. If you think about some movie star, you know, well, I don't even know what you're going to become. Depends on what they are.
You become
going to
movie star.
you know?
So everything is the keyword for
Yeah,
this?
meditation determines the form.
meditation is
Yeah, it determines the form.
Yeah.
The mind is creating impressions,
Yes.
and those impressions create the form.
Okay.
So, obviously, if you think, you can't go higher than God.
Yeah.
That's it. So if you think about the highest thing, that's a
Yeah,
person who
that's
has
it.
intelligence.
Yeah.
If I want to be something, why be some low-class thing? I should take a form like Krishna's.
Yeah.
Eternal, transcendental, full of bliss, knowledge, happiness. You meditate on something on this level, the highest you can go is Brahma. What's the point? You're still stuck. And we've been through that role before. Look where we are now.
still
Actually, we're in better shape than Brahma, really,
Yeah.
by the mercy of Prabhupada. So, it's a fact. People don't realize whatever they're meditating on. They meditate, you know, the story about the little, was it the wasp and the, yeah, I forgot that it was a,
Fire.
yeah, he was meditating on a wasp because he was so afraid of him, and then he became a wasp. Or the prostitute who meditated on the Brahmin. She used to think, oh, he's so saintly.
And he used to see
And,
the
yeah, and then the Brahmin was looking at the prostitute. Oh, she's so degraded. So they switched roles in the next life. She became a Brahmin and he became a prostitute. And it doesn't mean positive attraction. It can be negative also. Be careful of who you don't like. That's who you're going to be. It works like that. Be careful of that person you can't stand. That's what's going to happen. So that's why it's advisable to be neutral. Don't be for it,
No
against it.
liking, no disliking.
Yeah, it's smart. And also, tolerate happiness. Because happiness degrades you. Did you guys know that? If you try to be happy, if something comes through and you actually start enjoying it, you become degraded. You become heavy. If you suffer and accept it, you become light. So you tolerate the suffering because it's making you lighter. You're burning off karma. When the enjoyment comes and you get into it, you're making yourself heavy. So that's why I recommend tolerate happiness. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to try to be happy. What's wrong with this? I'm having a good time. It's a party. Tolerate happiness. Tolerate the stress. Be neutral. And more advanced is to just be in love with God. Then you're above all this. That's the middle stage. But the minute you start enjoying and suffering and this and that, you're trapped. Yeah. Okay? So, are you ready to hear the verses? Oh, that last word was person.
person.
He's a supreme, he's a person. He's all these things, but he's a person. And you, each of you, have your own relationship with this wonderful person, who's the only eternal relationship you have. All your other relationships are temporary, even in one lifetime. Right? We weren't always with our mothers. We won't always be with our children. We weren't always with our husbands. We weren't always with our teachers. They're very temporary, even in the lifetime they're temporary. What to speak about all the other lifetimes before? Who knows where they were? It's a completely fluctuating relationship. And to base your whole life on it, obviously, is a lack of intelligence. It's a lack of intelligence. Okay, write 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 on your slate. Here's your quiz. This is a very important section. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time, carry out your prescribed duty, fighting. With your activities dedicated to me, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without a doubt. Where is that one?
8.7.
Gosh, these guys are really good. Yeah, very good. Think, 8.7. Okay, write down this number. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone, and once attains my nature, like this, there is no doubt.
8.5.
Yes, this is the memory verse. Yes. This is the one you want to. And this is the purport you want to read. This Prabhupada makes it clear how it's going to be possible to do that. And you want to know what it says? It says, this is very difficult. And the only way to do it is from the beginning of one's life to be chanting constantly. Now he's got a good start. And he wrote 8.5. You wrote it, you're holding it up. Now, I didn't start Krishna consciousness until I was 35. And I'm not chanting constantly. So, you gotta know what the fine points say. Prabhupada, that's why people don't like to read the books. It's too scary. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Prithvi, that state he will retain. Where's that one? Well, we know it's between 5 and 9. Now, which one is it? 8.6 is the right answer. Yes, you got it. 6. Thank you, Nina. Thank you. He's really getting into this group work here. Okay, listen carefully. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. This group is too smart. Are you looking at the book? No? You mean you really know it? Oh my God. Too much.
8.8.
Really? That's brilliant. 8.8. I bet you can chant the Sanskrit too. One should meditate. Oh, here's the last one now. So it's only one left. But you need to relish it this time because you already know the stuff. So now you can relish it. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person. He's the one who knows everything. He's the oldest, who's the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who's the maintainer of everything, who's beyond all material conception, who's inconceivable, and who's always a person. He's luminous like the sun, and he's transcendental beyond this material nature. So beautiful. 8.9. I don't know about you guys. Are you feeling ecstasy? Yay. Very good. We'll do the next Yoga Mission. Now we're going to hear why we're glad Prabhupada came. Because when you hear this one, you think, I don't have a chance, right? You don't have a chance. 8, 10, 8, 11, 8, 12, and 13. Okay, ready for the choir? Are we ready to start singing our verses? Here we go. Use your flute hand. As we read, you're going to fill in the blanks. Keep everybody awake. You had 2 tests. You've done really well. 9 verses. Now we'll go up to 13. One who at the time of fixes his between thee and by the strength of with an unending engages himself in
Remembering
the Supreme Lord in full
devotion,
will certainly attain to the
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So the key word is devotion. It's not that you remember him just, well, okay, he's all right. It's got to do with devotion. Or like, oh, Krishna, please. Why are you doing this to me now? Devotion. Right? Got that, Neela? That's 8.10, Neela. Okay. Now, this is the Yoga Mishra path. But even they have to be devoted. They can't just sit up there and learn. Persons who are learned in the
Vedas,
who utter
Omkar,
and who are great
sages,
in the renounced
order,
enter into
Brahman,
desiring such
perfection,
one practices.
celibacy.
I shall now briefly
Explain
to you this
process,
by which one may attain
salvation.
So the key word here, easy one, is Omkar. Omkar. The last one was devotion. 11 is Omkar. 12. The yogic
Situation.
is that of
Detachment.
from all sensual
Engagement.
closing all the
Doors.
of the
Senses.
and fixing the mind on the
Heart.
and the life
Head.
at the
Top of head.
one establishes himself
In yoga.
So the key word here is yogic. Yogic.
Yogic.
The yogic situation. That's 12. Yogic. Now let's hear 13. After being
Situated.
in this yoga
Practice.
and vibrating the sacred syllable.
Om.
Now that's the key word. Okay, easy. The supreme combination of
Letters.
is one.
Things.
See?
Supreme Personality of
That
Godhead.
quits his job.
His body.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I tried. Quits his job.
Mataji, you're sounding too prophetic.
Oh, she wants to quit her job. She. It's not recommended in this chapter. But do as you like, you know. It's never recommended. You know, it's a voluntary acceptance of a different misery. That's life.
Yes.
I remember I was teaching school and I burned out. And I said to my husband, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. So I quit the job. And then so many other horrible things started to happen. I was better off sticking to my job. Okay. Anyway, you all caught that I made a mistake. I said quits his job and you said body.
Yes.
See, you're reading. He will certainly reach the spiritual
Planets.
That was 8:13. Okay? So now we've had devotion, Omkar, yogi, Om, and that's it, right? Devotion, Omkar, yogi, Om, and job. No, that's not one of them. Okay. 10, 11, 12, 13. 10 is devotion. 11 is Omkar. 12 is yogi. 13 is Om. So 11 is Omkar, 13 is Om, 12 is yogic, and 10 is
Devotion.
I could have picked eyebrows. I didn't think it sounded devotional. Okay, everybody get your slates out. This is our second to last quiz. I hope you're still feeling enthusiastic and not too burned out. Ready?
Yes.
So look at your books. Go Pete, you're a teacher. You know better. You don't let your kids do this. She's a teacher. She has to go through it all. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the supreme personality of God and it's his job, it's spiritual planets. You got the wrong number after all this.
8.30.
Good, Neela. Joy. Neela's got it right 13. Yeah. Are you glad you came, Anita?
Absolutely.
Glasses are a stitch. I mean, okay. Ready? 8:13. Okay. I'm going to give you another easy one. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into God. Desiring such perfection, one practice celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Where's that? 11. You looking? What's this? She's a teacher. Thank you, Neil. He's not cheating. He's over there. All right. Everybody get an 8:11? You got 8:13. You got 8:11. We only got 2 left. One who at the time of death fixes his life hair between the eyebrows, and by the strength of yoga, with an undeviating mind, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of God. Where's that one? Everybody got that one. Now we've only got one left. 8.10. You're not even writing. What's with you? What kind of a student are you? What kind of a She's just looking at the book and not listening. Okay, I'm giving her a hard time. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagement, closing all the doors of the senses, fixing the mind on the heart, and the life here at the top of the head, one establishes himself in yoga. Where's that? 8:12. Excellent. Fantastic.
Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah. Look at that, Neil. I'm so happy you're there. Keeping me on my toes. This next section is a really big one. What I'm going to do is we're going to jump to 8:23.
Not reading the next section.
Well, it describes the material world. I'll give you the key words because you guys all know what it's like. Right? Everybody here? You don't have to be convinced. Right? So 8:17 is calculation of 1,000 ages. It's a calculation.
There was one section before that.
Oh,
You missed out.
Pure devotion, sir.
Pure devotion. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Yes.
okay, that's right. Let's do that one. That's only 1, 2, 3. Where is this?
14, 15, 16.
Okay, 14. Responsive reading now. One who remembers
Me.
without
Deviation.
I am easy to
Obtain.
O son of
Rika.
because of his
Constant
engagement in
devotional
devotional
service.
So the secret is always remember Krishna. That's a lot easier than all this other stuff, right? Sitting up in the mountains in the cold and okay,
So what's the key word here, Mike?
always. Yeah. After attaining,
Me.
this is 15, the great
Soul.
for yogis in
Devotion.
Now here's the key word again, not this one, I mean, it's just you hear it again and again. Never
Return.
to this
Temporary.
which is full of
Misery.
Says they have attained the highest
Perfection.
Yeah, you don't have to come back. Attaining is the word here. The last one was always. We have 2 A's. This is called alliteration. Always attaining. We're going to talk about that at the retreat. alliteration. It's poetic. Never was there a time when I did not exist. Nor you, nor I, or all these kings, nor and. It's very beautiful. Very poetic. So always attaining. 16. This is quoted a lot. From the
Highest
in the material
world,
down to the
lowest,
all are places of
misery,
when repeated
birth,
and
death,
take place. But one who attains to my
abode,
the son of
kuti,
never takes
birth again.
There's an option here. Good. So and the key word is misery. So you have only 3 verses here. Always attaining misery. You don't always want to be attaining misery. I don't know. That's why I'm a comedian. I just make jokes, that's all. Actually, I have to admit, when I was being trained in art school, we were trained like this. It's called analogous thinking. They give you a quiz. List 50 uses for a brick. They teach you to be a creative thinker. It's not that you just learn how to draw. You have to be, you have to learn how to see comparisons. It's analogous thinking. Prabhupada's always doing it. He compares the deity to a mailbox. That sounds offensive, right? What's the deity of a mailbox? But it's authorized, right? So you learn to see like that. Okay? Always attaining. We don't want to say misery. We want to attain. Okay. 14 is always, 15 is attaining, and 16 is the misery. You only got 3 choices, folks. Can't go too wrong. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because, now watch it, because it's a trick,
Yeah,
because they have attained the highest perfection.
okay.
So the word misery is miseries. You got to be careful. Which one was miseries and which one was miseries? So which verse was this? After attaining? Which one was it? 15. Did you get it? Everybody? Did you get it? Good. She's doing reformed. Attaining. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. O son of Prita, because of his constant engagement in devotion. Where's that verse? These are famous verses. Oh, these are really famous verses. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and take place. But one who attains to mine, O son of
Kunti,
never
Takes
takes
birth again.
16. Wow, look at the size of that dot. She really does a good job. Let's go to 20. Let's go to 23. Because everybody knows what's going on here in the Brahma's day, manifest annihilation.
Mataji, you want to give us the keywords at least?
Keywords, yeah. 17. Calculation. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together from the duration of Brahma's 1 day. And the same is true of his 9. Boy, that's a long time. And you have to go through cosmic annihilations each time. Where the sun burns everything up and then the universe fills up with water, and we've been doing this. Luckily, we have given up the concept of insanity by taking through emotional ceremonies. The whole world is insane. It's insane. There's one sloka in the Bhagavad Gita, I can't remember exactly which, I think it's in Canto 2 or 3. It says one should worship him simply as a matter of sanity. Sanity. is he? When you think about it, you're nothing, he's everything, he's giving you everything, and he's dead, they say. Or doesn't exist in the first place. And everything else is going on by chance. That's insane. You know? At the beginning of Brahma's day, the key word here is manifest, and it's 18. All living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state. And thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. So that's all we are. We're either manifest, unmanifest. Manifest or unmanifest. Manifest or unmanifest. Take your choice. You want to keep doing this, or do you want to be eternally situated in a happy, blissful life of knowledge and eternity? It's a simple offer, folks. 19. The key word is annihilate. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being. And with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Helplessly. Does this convince you? This section should convince you. You guys are convinced. We're talking to the choir. But you have to keep remembering it. Because if you're a devotee, you might think, oh, well, 99% Krishna, and 1% maybe still for me. You gotta see what the proposal is. Annihilation no matter what you do. Yeah, becoming a famous this, becoming a famous that, becoming a rich this, becoming a scholarly that. It ends in annihilation. All that hard work for nothing. Yet there is another, this is 20, manifest, unmanifest nature, which is eternal. Yes, here's your proposition. This is the sales pitch. And it's transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and never annihilated. And all in this world is annihilated. That part remains as it is. Isn't that a better deal?
So both the keywords are annihilated?
The keyword? Eternal.
19 and 20?
19 is annihilated and 20 is eternal.
Eternal.
That's your option. Do you want to be eternal or do you want to be annihilated? You know, ask yourself, Prophet said, if somebody comes into the room and threatens your life, you become fearful. But he said, look folks, death awaits you. It may not be right now, but it's coming. The danger's ahead. You don't know when, how, where, why. You don't know. It's coming. 21. Vedantis is your key word. That which the Vedantis describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. So Vedantis. That's 21. And 22, unalloyed. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Now that's the key word. It can't be 99 for its set. It can't be 95, can't be 85, can't be 63. Unalloyed. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading. And everything is situated within him. This reminds me of what book we're reading. What book are we studying? Ishopanishad, yes. This is Ishopanishadic language. He's within everything, he's outside of everything. He walks, he doesn't walk. He's near, he's far. This is Krishna, inconceivably. Inconceivably. How can he do opposite things? Okay? So now, we'll do the last 5, and these we can, over time. But you all want to know, I'm sure you're hanging on the edge of your chair to hear the last key words. Oh, best of the Bhardas, I shall now explain to you the different times is the key word, and which passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. So the key is time. Because now in this section, we're going to hear about time. The yogic situation, but the devotee doesn't have to worry about this. Again, it's a sales pitch. 24, the word is auspicious. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god and the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the So they have to calculate. They can't just die any old time. It's got to be at a right time. Now, 25, night. You hear what happens if it's at night. This is the good time, 24. 25 is the bad time. The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, for the 6 months, when the sun passes to the south. Because you know, like in January, when Bhishma left, the sun started to move into the north.
Yeah.
See, that's auspicious. But he's in the south. So look how many times, how you got to find just the right time to go. Sun can't be in the south, it can't be night, it can't be smoke. Right? It can't be the waning of the moon. You got to hit all those points right. He reaches the moon planet, but he comes back. You got to come in. You go to the higher planets, but what's the point of that? You come back. Next is opinion. 26. According to Vedic opinion, there are 2 ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in
Darkness.
when one passes in, he
Light.
does not come back. And when one passes in,
Darkness
he
returns.
27. Fixed. Although the devotees know that these 2 paths of Arjuna, they know these 2, they are never, therefore, always fixed in devotion. That's all you have to worry about. Just stay fixed in devotion. Don't worry about if it's smoking outside, if it's holy colors going all over the place. Don't worry about if it's night, day, moon, the sun's in the south. Just be fixed in devotion. 28.
Fixed.
Fixed.
Nishta. Fixed. 28, the last verse. This is beautiful. This is the final pitch, sales pitch. The word is attains. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the
Vedas,
performing austere
sacrifices,
giving,
charity,
or pursuing philosophical and primitive
activities.
Simply by performing devotional
Service.
he
attains
all
these.
Hey,
At the end, he reaches.
that's a bargain deal. And at the end, he
Reaches
the supreme eternal
abode.
Oh. You get the same benefit as doing all that other hard stuff. And at the end, attain. You get the same benefit of doing all the other processes with a guarantee of the result. So all of you who are sitting here are quite intelligent. You obviously know. Right? Am I right, Anita? Okay, and we packed the fruit. The little kid's ready to get the fruit platter on the flight. He's becoming quite alert. He's sitting over there and holding up the sleeve. Oh, you have your wheeler. You have your 3-wheeler. What did you make that? You all very kindly returned all of the materials that belong to the study group. Don't mistakenly pack them in your bag. Especially make sure 1881.
Well, you see what he's doing.
Oh, bring it up, Dela. Show. Come, show everybody.
That's pretty good. You're working it out.
This is so beautiful. Oh, Dela, look at that. Bring it over here. Yes, bring it to Manaji. And so hold the glass. Everybody wants to see this. Oh. Yo, this is so, is this Lord Nishrinidhi? Is this Lord Nishrinidhi?
It's a devotee flower.
Oh, it's a devotee flower. Oh, look at that. It's so cute. I don't even want to ever erase this one. Save a picture.